Welcome, everybody. What an amazing day. What an amazing time to gather and celebrate the Yass Prize. It has been a whirlwind year since winning the Yass Prize in 2022. Our network opened its 5th campus in Tucson, Arizona. We successfully started the National Accelerator of Autism Charter Schools, and in Cohort 1, we are supporting founding teams in Nevada, Louisiana, and Collier County, Florida, with moms and professionals also starting autism-focused charter schools in their states. The Yass Prize is truly changing the landscape of education options across the nation, and I couldn't be more grateful for what it's done for us and helping us serve more students and families. So why are we here, and what does it mean to stop for education? Sustainable, transformational, outstanding, and permissionless. This is what's driving the most growth-oriented philanthropic venture in more than a decade. It was Janine Yass's passion for education opportunity for all students that sparked the creation of the Yass Prize and the Stop Award Initiative. Her vision, brought to life by a group with more than 30 years of disrupting the status quo, was the magical combination to bring about a renaissance of people ready to stop for education. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Janine Yass, President and founder of the Yass Prize. So what a treat to start off this summit with an intimate conversation with Janine Yass and get your take on how the Yass Prize has evolved and what it's become over the last few years.
Diana, it's like a dream being with you here this morning.
Yes.
Honestly, I woke up and rubbed my eyes thinking, I keep saying this was never part of our big plan in the beginning when Jeannie and I talked about this during COVID, but to be here on stage with our award winner from last year who's doing such inspirational work, it feels like a dream come true, like I'm going back to school with our reunion every year, and then I'm meeting a whole new freshman class of friends.
Nice. Yes, absolutely. And I can't wait to meet in person the 64 quarterfinalists. Such amazing work going on across the nation. So what has been your favorite outcome from this amazing national movement that you fueled, that just started as an idea, but is now really a national movement of amazing people doing the best work for kids?
There's so many great surprises in this. Again, I said earlier to someone that when we did this during COVID, Jeannie and I thought we'd find 5 or 10 people around the country, reward them, and be done when schools reopen. And the incredible amount of quality applications we got that year just blew us away. And finding out that there's so many people like you in this room, in this country, that's doing this work that are not really being rewarded for it. That was a big surprise. When I've met all the applicants and awardees that over the years, how grateful you all are that you're being recognized. I think that you're used to working in an industry, education, that does not reward good stuff most of the time. And it shows the outcomes that are going around across our country in public schools. Those teachers are not being recognized for doing good jobs. And the teachers that are doing poor jobs are not being let go. So I think the whole culture of gratitude of the people that I meet is really overwhelming and inspires us to do more.
Yes, I love that it's such a celebration of amazing teachers, school leaders, education entrepreneurs. There's nothing like it, that's for sure. So the Yass Prize is tackling education freedom from so many angles, highlighting education entrepreneurs, but also rewarding state leaders who are moving the needle in education options in their state, really, changing legislation and doing what's right for kids. Tell us about the Education Freedom Awards.
Well, that too was a nice surprise after our first year, that we realized our first, I think she's in the room, Janelle Wood from Arizona, one of the first grants we gave out during COVID before the STOP Awards and the Yass Prize. Janelle applied for a grant to keep her micro schools open during COVID. And with the money she got, and the children went right back to school with wonderful mentors and teachers, when COVID was over, they really wanted to stay in that model. They didn't want to leave, Janelle and her team. And because of that example, we were able to point to that with the Governor Ducey.
Yes.
And he took note of all this that was going on. And because of the work of a lot of our alumni, we have proof points to show governors that this works. And because of your advocacy and your passion and your dedication to your children and your students, the governors can't deny that.
Absolutely. And even with all of that success, it seems like it's an obvious thing that everyone should be for education freedom. But there are detractors out there to our cause. And I think the more attention and the more we highlight, sometimes we get some naysayers that are really trying to, minimize what we're trying to do. How do you combat those detractors? And what's your advice for people like us who are running schools, we're doing the work, and we still have detractors even though we're doing the right thing for kids?
I kept saying in the beginning I didn't want to be political about this. Unfortunately, it does boil down to that a lot of times, that people like Diana and a lot of our award winners are really not encouraged to expand. They feel that they're taking children out of the system that they want to control. And Diana's experienced it, and a lot of you guys have too, I'm sure. But I think if you're I try to remain calm and have all these proof points in the room that this is what families want, this is what families deserve, and no one could really argue with that. They have these buzzwords that we could see right through. Oftentimes, the people that are against it are people that are not using the schools that they're advocating to stay open. And I just try to logically point that out to destroy those myths about that we're trying to disrupt public education. Well, we are trying to disrupt it. We're not trying to destroy it. We're trying to make better options for kids, from poor kids, middle-class kids. I say wealthy people have this choice. They opt out of their systems easily. Why shouldn't all children have that choice? Because their money is there in the system for that to happen.
Absolutely. So I have gotten to know you a little bit, and I love how connected you are to the whole process of the Yass Prize, the summits, the accelerator. And you have an amazing growing team of people with your partner in crime, Jeannie Allen, and Caroline and the whole team. You could easily delegate your role, but you don't. You are still so connected. You take the time to get to know us, and you really facilitate our work in such a personal and intimate way. Why do you stay so connected? What does it mean to you?
I think after being in this work for almost 30 years with Jeannie, we had so many bad experiences. We've been told to go away. We have been in cities where we've wasted so much time and energy with waiting for charter school applications to be approved, which those applications could cost up to $80,000. And then the heartache of not being able to create those schools in certain cities, especially during COVID. It really was born out of, that was a depressing time.
It really was.
And I saw, especially in cities where kids couldn't go back to school, the parents weren't able to stop working. It was a nightmare. So this really has grown out of, I think, a lot of dark days and a lot of depressing times where I've had to call, I think Donald Hentz might be in the room, and Kevin Kevin Chavez, we had to get these big guns to Philadelphia. We had to get their wisdom in all these different cities and fight, be denied 3-4 times for our first application for a boys' Latin charter school in Philadelphia. And the more they fought against us, the more we built up our army and did not take no for an answer. And I think everybody that's applying for our award knows this, knows the frustration, knows how you need money to start these. And it really was an eye-opening experience, all those depressing years, that it's really grown into this more positive movement where I really feel you can't argue with this, you can't argue with the demand for the schools and the services that you're providing. And it's just much more positive and much more fun because I get to dance all night long to the spinners.
Yes.
It's really why I want to do this work.
Yes, thank you so much for the celebrations you provide and just for the networking that we get as school leaders, people that we wouldn't otherwise know, and that just fuels and inspires us to keep doing what we're doing. So one of the things that I love the most about the Yass Prize is that it really takes our work and takes it to the national stage. It is hard work to open a school and then another and then another. We've opened 5 schools in 10 years in Arizona. But being part of the Yass Prize has flooded us with so many other opportunities. And I am so excited to share with you and report that just last week, we got a $1.5 million grant for workforce innovation. So it's like you open a big door and then all of these other doors open because now we have a track record. Now we've been recognized nationally. And like you said, you can't deny the work. And you can't deny that caring parents will flock to quality. So, speaking of workforce innovation, what are your thoughts on innovative education options and how that is an urgent and pressing need for the workforce?
A couple of different thoughts are going through my mind now about, I'm thinking back of when we raised our 4 children. They went to very traditional classical schools, and there wasn't a lot of creativity. There wasn't a lot of mention of what you want to do when you grow up. It's like you study, European history, whether you like it or not, and you have to do 3 years of Spanish, whether you like it or not. There wasn't this time of creativity and the technology that's out there today for children. Connecting that to a lot of children in our circle, in our towns, and I'm sure everywhere across the country, are grappling with the mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And I think it really has been tied to that, where kids are being pushed into these pegs that they don't belong. Some kids know, I went to visit Oakmont schools last year. Chris is working with children that have dropped out of school. They're back in school under her direction, getting workforce licenses. The greatest girl was so proud that she was going to be drawing blood at the Cleveland Clinic.
That's very necessary.
Really? But she was so excited, and she was driven, and she had a path. If she was not in a school like that, had a point-by-point program to get a degree or a license, she might drop out again. So I think this whole workforce readiness movement is fantastic, as long as it's done during the school day, as long as a lot of public schools are handling it. You do this, antiquated curriculum, mm-hmm. and then you go to a training program after school for this. Kids should be doing it during seat time.
Absolutely.
And that way they're able to stay on track and have that goal in mind.
Oh, yes, and that makes school resonate and be meaningful and impactful and make sense for children. So we are all about that, and we have so many amazing examples like Oakmont, and we'll be meeting some of their students. I'm so excited about that. Okay, so you have been writing a lot about how per pupil amounts in various cities, even with education freedom, those per pupil amounts do not follow the children. What do we need to do about that, and why is it so critical?
Well, this is what the shocking part of the last 2 years has really pointed out to Jeannie and I. We thought, okay, we'll be able to seed money to expand these schools. They're in states, they're getting ESAs. But it started to occur to us over the last year and a half that there's money missing. And when we followed the money, it really is ludicrous how this country is getting away with funding education. The funding is not following children to go to the schools that they want to go to the better schools that are being created by all education entrepreneurs. You're not getting your money's worth. Mm-hmm. And the kids are not getting their money's worth. It really became clear when we went to visit Sail Future. Michael Long is here in front and center. Michael also works with a tough population of kids that have dropped out. They're soul searching, they've had drug issues. Michael takes them into a boarding school in St. Petersburg, Florida, and teaches them career readiness. They're building sailboats, they're doing hospitality work, they're building houses and selling houses in the neighborhood. It's incredible. So he's doing it. The state of Florida is averaging about a $10,000 ESA, $8,500. And if those children stayed in the St. Petersburg system where they're dropping out of, they would get $26,000. So we were like, where is that $16,000 and why isn't it following those children? And this has been the big aha thing for us to point out that funding needs to follow, more funding needs to follow the child. It's just ridiculous that that's staying on the table and in a system where kids are dropping out of it and it's not following them. So everyone needs to be aware of that and be able to be brave enough to ask for more money because you all deserve it.
Absolutely. We do so much more with less, but we shouldn't have to. Yes, okay. So being part of the Yass Prize has been one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life. I'm used to applying for grants, but never one like this. How did you decide to make this a competition and not just a grant process?
Maybe I was watching too much American Idol at the time. But competition's good.
Yes, I
and
agree, yeah.
It was that it, Jeannie? We were looking at different shows, maybe the Miss America pageant,
or like Shark Tank.
A Shark Tank
Yes,
show. I mean, those models,
the pitches.
Right? The pitches.
Yes.
Really going. It saves us a lot more time putting out the call for applications like that to be managed in bulk than to be going around the country trying to find good schools to fund for all those years. That was exhausting and, again, sometimes depressing. But this way, it has a much more positive spin on it. And even though it is competitive amongst all of you, the other surprising thing for me, because I was always working on Wall Street and the Philadelphia Stock Exchange my life with all finance and bankers, they never share anything. So in the education industry, all of you guys seem to want to share your models, and
yes,
it's not as cutthroat. You're happy when someone else wins. I think everyone cried when Diana won last year. Not because you lost, but because she won and they all became friends.
Thank you.
So it's just a great dimension of, I think, educators and people in that industry.
Yes. I think what I loved about it is hearing everybody's story in their own words. And also, what I love about education is that there's always plenty of work to go around. So we share, we collaborate, we have more people to collaborate with, and just partners in the work. And it's a competition, but everybody wins because, there's always plenty of work to go around. All right, so speaking of competition and pitches and readiness for this, what's your advice to the 64 quarterfinalists who are here? Some will move on to be the 32 semifinalists, but as you have graciously made it be known, now everyone here is part of the Yass family. What's your advice to the cohort and your words of wisdom to help them keep doing the work and just be present and share their story through this competition?
I'm really excited for all of you, just because I know what happened the first year and the second year, and everyone's here together and friends. Really take advantage of meeting as many people as you can. Use Caroline, me, Jeannie, as a resource to direct you to other people. It's a little overwhelming, 64 people, and there may be certain schools or ed tech companies that should connect, and we hope to establish more of a resource center with that as this prize continues, because the connections and the network are really so important. And like how Diana is expanding around the country, she's used her new friends and our guidance with not only with the alumni, but with also people like Ed Choice, who's here in the room, Robert Enlow, advocacy centers, and there's a lot of connections to happen in this room, and I'm really excited for all you guys to realize that and go forward with them.
Yes, the connections are priceless. In our Workforce Innovation program, we are partnering with Taylor to do a gaming design studio so the children can do coding and design their own video games. We have also adopted Rock by Rock to take our project-based learning to the next level. And that is just the tip of the iceberg for all of the wonderful opportunities that I wouldn't otherwise know about to bring to our children at our schools in Arizona and beyond. So,
and right, you don't have to go around and reinvent the wheel for everything.
No.
And again, you guys are also generous with what you're learning and producing. So for someone to have a great workforce program or Diana's curriculum with autism, why reinvent that wheel? You could just take it and replicate it. And
absolutely. Yes. Sharing is what this is all about. Thank you for sharing your vision, your passion for acting on it, and because of all of that is why we're all here. So big round of applause for Janine Yass.
It's my honor.